Here's how to use the MarkSetBot app. It's available as a mobile browser app, an iOS, Android, and Windows app. Once you get into the app, you can sign in two different ways. You can register as a new user and type in an email and a password, or you can use an existing account and password and sign in as Google, Facebook, or Microsoft. Once you're signed in, terms and conditions will pop up. I'm going to read through this. By accepting this prompt, you agree to accept liability for any harm or damage caused by the MarkSetBot. The MarkSetBot is not aware of its surroundings and will motor in the direction that you instruct it to go. You must only control it when you can see where it is and who is around it. Make sure to disconnect the battery before pulling it out of the water to prevent injury if the prop engages. So accept that. And now we're into the app. First, let's go through the basics. The layout of the app. We have the top menu, the mark menu. You can have up to 6 marks, and they will all lay out in this area. And when you click a mark, you get the bottom menu. If you have 6 marks as you click through them, this bottom menu will change. If everything's working correctly, you will get a green circle for each mark. If you have a gray circle, it means that the MarkSetBot is not able to communicate with the internet, or you are not able to connect with the internet. If you're not able to connect, your icons up here will be grayed out. If you see a red icon, you need to click on it, and one of these 3 icons down here will be red. Going through the menu, the top button is Navigate. We'll go into that in a minute, and it allows a bot to navigate to a particular waypoint, and then it anchors once it gets there. The next item is the Anchor button. It will anchor the bot where it currently is. When you navigate, you don't have to hit the Anchor button. You only need to use the Anchor button if you want to anchor it where it currently is when the motor's not engaged. The Stop button will turn off the motor. The orange dot that we're going to see in a minute is how you tell the bot where you want it to navigate to. It will show up wherever it was used last. To get it to your current location, a shortcut is to put the bot in the water and click the anchor icon, and it's going to bring it right where it is. The pink dot is where the bot currently is, so when I hit anchor, we get a confirmation to engage the motor. You get a confirmation that it's anchored, and now you have an orange dot. If you want to move it somewhere else, you drag it with your finger and say Navigate, and you'll get a confirmation that the buoy is going to that location. Now, getting into some more advanced options. When you're setting a race course, especially when you have multiple marks, you're going to want to use the Layout function. The Layout function lets you specify a course direction, a length for the course, and a line length. Course length is nautical miles, and line length is in meters. You get to pick where you want the course to be based off of. The default is the race committee. The race committee is where you are with your phone. And then we're going to pick a course type, and we are regularly adding new course types, but for now we're going to stick with windward leeward, with the finish being the same place as the start. So with that, we say add course to map. And now, from me as the race committee, it has suggested where the course should be. If we zoom out, it's 1 mile, and you drag the dot where you want it to go, and then you'd say Navigate. This allows you to place all of the marks on the map at once. The next option is the Refresh option. That reaches out to everyone who's logged into the app, including all the bots, and it gets an update from them. So you're going to notice that this green circle turns gray temporarily, and then gets an update from the bot and turns its appropriate color. When we did that, it will also refresh the location of users. So if we zoom out, there's another user logged in right now, and they show up as a black dot. So pink dots are bots, and black dots are users. If we click on these pink or black dots, we get an information pop-up, and it tells you how fast the prop is spinning, if the motor is engaged, and then it gives you information about distances and directions relative to the race committee. It also, if you have wind instruments installed, will tell you the wind direction and wind speed, and that's the current information. We'll get into another area in a little bit that shows us historic wind information. One of the options here that's very useful is set as layout. This allows you to set the layout screen based on where that mark is. So you would use this if you had motored a bot to a certain place looking at the wind and said stop. You can then square the rest of the course by setting layout. I'm going to click set layout, and you're going to see a pop-up, and it has pre-populated the information based on a calculation from where you are to where it is. Now I'm going to actually tweak it because it's going to look funny if I don't, because I'm right near that. And then it has laid that out on the map. Another useful feature, when you put your bots in the water, occasionally the map will not show all of your removable docks at your club. And so we have a set as dock feature. And what you're going to see that do is it's going to place a dock on the map. Now, in this particular case, the dock is right underneath that M icon, so it won't show up until the bot moves to another location. Zoom back out and go to the black dot. It gives us similar information. It tells us who the person is that's logged in, and it tells us that same kind of information about their location. Included in that is latitude and longitude. Going back in there 1 minute, there's also a set as layout for that. So we can set as layout, and then it's going to draw a line between us and that mark. When you do a refresh, you're going to notice that that box updates, its time updates. Getting into the individual bot menu. When you're using the menu up here, these commands send out to all of the bots in your system. When you click an individual bot menu, you're just controlling that one bot. So navigate, anchor, and stop are exactly the same as the ones above, except they're just for one bot. There is a manual remote screen that lets you turn the head of the motor left, turn the head of the motor right, and it lets you increase the prop speed, and it lets you turn the motor on and stop the motor. Note on this that when you hit up, unless the motor is engaged, it won't start spinning. So what it's doing is it's setting the speed that it will have when you engage the motor. Also of note on here is a calibrate button. If you find that your bot isn't staying in place well, the compass needs to be calibrated. And so you need to hold the bot in place, and you hit the calibrate button, and the head of the bot will spin around 360 degrees, swinging the compass. Before it has left the factory, we have run that calibrate, so you only need to run it if you have a problem. You can trigger an individual bot location update by clicking the location button there. That updates every 15 seconds automatically, so you'll only need to do that if you need its instantaneous location for some reason. The battery icon always appears this way regardless of how charged the battery is. When you click it, it will tell you how charged the battery is. It will also let you shut the phone down or reboot the phone. If you're having a problem, this is going to reboot the phone that's inside the bot. So if you're having an issue, that's a good problem-solving step to try. The Bluetooth button also pops up, and it will let you turn off the Bluetooth connections, turn them on, and re-provision. If you're having trouble communicating with any of the Bluetooth devices on the bot, re-provision is a good thing to click. It'll disconnect them and reconnect them. And then if you're having GPS problems, you can click this and it'll tell you how many satellites are visible, the version of the ProNav that's running, and if the bot is overspun, like its cord is wrapped, it will give you that information on this screen as well. Now going into the top menu. This menu looks different based on what security rights you have and based on what features you have licensed. But everyone will have a reload app button. If you're having any trouble with your app, you can click this and it'll reload the code. Update bot user locations is like the location button in the bottom menu, except it does it for all the bots. Log off will take you out of the session. You don't normally need to do that, but if support tells you to, that's what you'd click. And then get help you'll have as well, and that lets you see our support resources. Now getting on to some of our add-ons. The wind reporting tool gives you instantaneous feedback of what the wind is doing and a 5-minute average. If you click wind panel, that data updates. It takes about a second to get that update. There is a windrows plot that shows you speed and directions. And then there is a wind direction speed plot that shows you the last 2 hours of what the wind has been doing from a velocity standpoint and from a direction standpoint. Then we have a horn system, and you can get this information on wind and horn from up to 6 bots, and they will show up in the top menu. So the horn system is very basic right now. It lets you do a single horn for 1 second or 5 horns, like a change of course. So when you click that, it'll do a horn every 5 seconds for 5 seconds. Then going into battery, this shows you a report of all of your battery usage for all of your devices. So if you have 6 logged in, all 6 will display there with their state of charge, their voltage, and the current amp draw. If you're charging, this will be a positive number. And if you're pulling power, this will be a negative number. You're on this screen, if you click Get Battery Data, you'll notice that it updates.